student of Paul's, he had a coffee cup with the word rebel on it. And he always said, it's good to be a rebel. And I just found out, I don't even know if Paul knows about this, but his students, while he's giving a lecture, are actually typing out sayings from Paul on Facebook. And I kid you, I looked at it, I was amazed. There's like hundreds of these sayings on this Facebook, which they're direct quotes from Paul during his lecture. Including my favorite, Paul Wong is a troublemaker. Anyway, but Paul actually is a rebel with a cause, not without one. And it's amazing. This morning, actually, some of the things I've been thinking about was one is how is neuroscience helping us understand spirituality? So I asked Paul, and in typical Paul fashion, he, I think in about 4 minutes, said, well, here are 2 books you have to read on the subject. And very concisely and very coherently gave me an explanation of it all revolving around plasticity in the brain. And that's one of the things about Paul that I've known throughout the years. He's very well read in literature and philosophy, in psychology. And I've always thought that my best professors were by far these well-rounded people, and Paul is no exception. And the best counselors, too, have this deep, sophisticated understanding of human nature. And Paul's like that. And I remember in 2005, I don't remember if Paul remembers this, was at the Summer Institute. And he was giving a talk, and I don't know if you've heard Paul talk for a considerable amount of time, but when he gets enthusiastic, he tends to sound almost like a preacher. Usually, the good thing about Paul is he'll catch himself, but I was sitting next to a psychologist, and she wasn't very happy about all of this. So at the break, I turned to her and I said, I wonder if you'd be surprised to learn that these ideas actually originated when Paul read Friedrich Nietzsche's work. And that just threw her for a loop. And that's the one thing about Paul. He's very difficult to pigeonhole. He's very well-rounded, and every time you think you have him pinned down, he comes up with something new. But this one of the keys to Paul, I think, is this openness, and he always encouraged me to be open. And I think the speakers that you'll notice over the years at INPM many of them disagree with each other, but it's that openness, that spirit that Paul's always encouraged. And without Paul, of course, we wouldn't be here tonight. So anyway. Oh, okay. Oh, and I forgot, Paul looks up to me too. Yeah.
So what an introduction. Now, you should be scared of me now. I'm a troublemaker and a rebel. So it's great to see you here. Existential positive psychotherapy, a mouthful. Okay? So I hope that by the end of my brief talk, you understand what it is. Okay? So next slide. Come on, hurry. No, my poor wife. No, oh, that's so fast. No, where is this place? What is this place? Oh, Hawaii. What do you think about Hawaii? Aloha. Now, that's a place, it's called Paradise on Earth or something like that, right? Now, if you want to have relaxation or have romantic holiday, you go Hawaii, right? Okay. Now, next. Now, that is the beautiful campus of University of Hawaii at Hilo. It's not as big as the main campus, but the beautiful campus. Now, I showed you a picture because about 4 years ago, I was invited to be the director of graduate program in quantum psychology there. So I went there about 4 years ago with my wife. And when I was there, the president and the dean told me why they want me to there. We have lots of Hawaii natives, like Aboriginal. And there are severe problems of depression. Next one. See, depression. Okay? And other kind of alcohol problem, drug problems. violence. So they say, well, we really want you to train more native counselors and to help them. So, but anyway, so I turn them down, okay? I don't think I can handle that, okay? But anyway, so the next slide. When you think about Hawaii, you don't think about mental illness, right? You think about what are they doing? Just hula dancers, right? You think about next one will be, come on, happy surfers. The Hawaiian natives invented, the technique and the surfing board. It's the wave level so high. Go to Hawaii, you see it. So it's amazing, right? Or you think about fishing. You think about fishing picture here. Fast. This, this is a huge fish. I don't know what kind of fish is that. It's fishing, go fishing. And do you have any more? Oh, this famous Hawaiian native, the happy president. I don't know. He's not very happy now, okay? I get in trouble, Well, anyway, next one. Okay. So now, where is the city? Oh, good. Must be New York, yeah. Now, here's my question, okay? Hawaii, beautiful beaches and sunset and ocean and, it's a beautiful place, really. You go there, you'll fall in love with that place. With people close to nature, fishing, dancing, and walking on the beach, singing romantic songs. And what is it that there's so many people with mental illnesses? Do you know the answer? Do you think they'll be better off living in the original state? Is it possible that civilization, progress, has reached a point that is no longer good for us? Is it possible? That because of the urbanization, the cutthroat competition, this displacement, the breakdown of community, church, and family, so is it possible that many of the mental health problems, just like cancer, is the disease of the industrialized world? It's possible. Next slide. Now think about those days. I don't know how many thousands of years ago. I don't know. Now, are these guys having fun? Sure, they're having fun. They're chasing after animals. Sure, I like to be part of that party. It's lots of fun. Like somebody will shoot an arrow, somebody will make noise. They work together as a team. They help each other. They celebrate when they make a catch. They help each other. They celebrate life together. So those are the good days. Those are good days. Okay. Next slide. Now, here's my friend, the wild man. He's very good at what he's doing. Next slide. Here's Paul McClure. This guy said, can you read the writing? Hunting and gathering isn't very profitable. Let's invent IPOs. That's where our trouble began, right? A simple life, close to nature, right? Healthy and simple and happy. And then people say, oh, we want to make things better. We want to have more progress and better living condition and TV and BMW. She drives BMW, man. The little boy drives BMW. Imagine? But anyway, where does it end, right? There's no end to your material need. I think my friend Ed Diener, he's a very famous psychologist. Ed Diener? He said materialism is toxic. It's toxic, right? But people do not have enough of that. Right? Now, so that's the beginning of our trouble, right? Different civilization progress. So next slide. So now, what happened? Nowadays, young people do not have the opportunity, young boys and adolescents, boys, do not have the opportunity to make use of the physical strength, to put that strength to good use. So they do skateboarding, right? They spend hours perfecting the skill. And for the next one, or play video game. They can shooting the enemies, okay? Next slide, we're shooting animals, you see? They live out their fantasy about this, making use of their strength and talent. Next slide. Now here, the geeks shall inherit the earth. No longer speed, no longer muscle, no longer power, but those guys with a good brain. Right? Those guys rule the world. So it's in a change. So what do we do with those people who do not have a brain for technology or science or making money? They're good artists. How many starving artists do we have? They're good writers. How many starving writers do we have? They're good in the physical ability, but who cares? They're skateboarding all day, all night. You don't bring your money unless you're a champion. So competition. Whenever competition, what happens? There are winners and losers. Guess what? Most of them will be losers. Do you want to live your life as a loser? Do you? You're miserable, right? You even though good in school, got fired at a job, and your wife walk away from you. What do? Will you be happy and healthy? No, you have a problem there, right? Next slide. So we have depression, right? And what happened here? Shut out the world. Schizophrenia, right? People withdraw from reality, living in their own created imaginary world. Next slide. Now here talk about some of the contributors factor in the family history will be the biggest factor, followed by what? By bereavement. If you lost a loved one, father, mother, so that can cause trouble. If you have a sustained brain injury as a child, then you'll be more likely to develop schizophrenia. And next slide. Now, everything to do with the brain, okay? And there has some pathway being blocked. So that is the brain of people suffering from schizophrenia. Next slide. Now, this shows the brain circuitry. How the dopamine will block. Dopamine uptake is diminished. So now, because of that, the brain of biological psychiatry, they develop medicine, antipsychotic medicine. Next slide. So these are modern drugs, okay? The pills. Guess what? The medication doesn't always work. That's a problem. One of my clients is depressed and he's very happy. He feels lost. He was a successful artist, wealthy and very famous. You know what happened to him? 13 years ago, his beautiful wife, kind, beautiful, tender wife, developed schizophrenia and become a completely unbearable, nasty woman and talking to herself, and he can no longer live with her. He's been so negative of everything and so nasty. So finally they have a divorce. But for 13 years, he was still grieving the pain of losing his wife. So I thought maybe he can cope better if his wife die of cancer, right? Now his wife is in no man's land, in and out. There are days she's Lucy and Claire. There are days she was out of it. So people do not realize that the psychic pain is just as real as physical pain. It's just as real. And people, families with loved ones suffer from mental illness, suffer a great deal. So he is seeking counseling, and hopefully she can cope with better. So the mental illness not only affects the patient, but also affect the loved ones. Okay? So now, because medicine doesn't work, so we need medicine plus psychotherapy. Now, do you know what's his name? Come on. What's his name? Freud, right? Sigmund Freud, right? Are you sure? and he invented psychotherapy about 103 years ago. And next slide. Now, that's, you lie on a couch, and the psychiatrist talk to the patient free associate, and to review the unconscious problems, suppressed memories. Next slide. Now, who is this guy? Come on, he was a speaker here. Yalom is a very famous existential psychologist, psychotherapist. He looks so severe, like a mobster. but that's Yalom, okay? And he's a very famous existential psychotherapist. Next slide. Now, so I use that book for my textbook for my students. But here I talk about Mama and the meaning of life. His first chapter about how he missed his mother, who just died last year, the year before. So from there on, he talked about his struggle with death anxiety and talk about some cases. So it's a very moving book. And the most recent book is, next one is Staring at the Sun, Overcome the Dread of Death. So I wrote a positive review for APA on this book. So again, he mainly struggled with death anxiety. And I think my friend told me, where's Chris Moran? He's gone. Robert Firestone, the same thing. All his life was struggling with death anxiety. So that motivated him to write many books. So here is an existential therapist who really try to focus on overcome your fear of death. Okay, where's my water? Give me some water, somebody. Now, this guy called himself a old grouch. Do you know what's his name? Do you know him? I know he's not a happy man. Okay? You look at his face. He admitted he's a grouch. He's not a happy man. But thank God for him, because he is a champion. He developed this positive psychology movement and bring happiness to other people. So it's okay if you are, it's okay if you are not a happy fellow. That's fine. The next slide. Is Authentic Happiness. This is the one bestseller. Not everything he says is correct. Okay, but anyway, he tried. Okay. Now, this only guy look normal. The other guy look like fatherly. He's my friend. Okay? What's his name? Franco. Yeah. Look like fatherly. Right? Next slide. Okay, now that book has been translated for more than 30 languages. Have been sold how many million copies? More than that. Okay. More than 10 million in English, and worldwide translated many languages, more than 15 million copies. It continues to be a bestseller. Right? So if you haven't read it, pick up a copy from Odeon. Oh, down there, Odeon bookstore, right? Okay. Now that old gentleman is also my friend. His name is Joseph Fabry. So I visited him shortly before he died. So he's the guy who is responsible for bringing logotherapy to North America. And he's the guy responsible for this conference. We were planning for together. Originally, his idea is to have a festival of meaning to celebrate meaning of life, meaning of work, meaning of death, to celebrate meaning, right? So eventually, we did this concept idea about from the first meaning conference, but I feel very sad that he passed away before the conference. So I'm very grateful to Joseph Fabry for giving me the encouragement and the idea to the mini conference. Next slide. No. Any Greek student here? Logotherapy is therapy through logos. Logo. How to pronounce that word? Local. What does that mean? Remember Alex, the not Greek fellow, Alex Pentecost. Now he gave us two root meanings for logo. What the first meaning? How you forgot? Come on. Huh? What? Spirit. Anything else? Meaning. Meaning. I'm waiting for the meaning, right? Meaning therapy, logotherapy. Logotherapy means therapy through meaning, right? What the second meaning? What's the second meaning of logos? Relationship. So that's why meaning therapy has two. The motto of meaning therapy is meaning is all we need, relationship is all we have, right? Logos equal meaning plus relationship. These two are the key to unlock the mystery of mental illness, to unlock the key to mental health. I'll explain to you how that works, okay? Next slide. So logotherapy equal meaning therapy. Now, how on earth why do I call that extensive positive psychotherapy? So now Frankl is different. Frankl is different from all the other psychotherapists I introduced to you earlier. One is that he is essential, but also positive, right? Cinnamon is positive, but not essential. Yalom is essential, but not positive. Frankl is both, right? Freud, what's Freud? Freud is neither essential nor positive. I don't know how to call him, but anyway. But he's obsessed with sex. I know that. He struggled with his sexual desire for his mother. That's true. Yeah. Oh, anyway, no. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Frankl's idea. Also from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One God. One Lord. Hey, Frank called that taskmaster. You're one taskmaster that you have to give an account to about your life. One day, all of us have to give an account. Reliability, right? But give account to our taskmaster. Here, give us a job. Each one of us a job. Have you got it done? Have you done it well? Okay? And one ultimate source of meaning. Many people believe, if there's no ultimate meaning, then it's difficult to find meaning in life. So we're able to find meaning in life because we're not living in a groundless world. We're grounded in an ultimate meaning. There's an ultimate meaning. Next slide. 2 principles, right? Meaning is all we need, relationship is all we have. That become clear to you. Next one, 3 strategies. The first one is double vision. What's double vision? You look at your table, you play ball, you look at your ball, and you let it go, right? Double vision. And you look at the situational problem you face, and also relate that to the big question. So you not just the leaves, but also the forest. So always keep in mind the big vision. 2 is dual system. You don't just avoid pain and approach pleasure. You always have to manage the interaction between positive and negative. You can't avoid the negative. Buddha said, life is suffering. Franco said, well, nobody likes suffering, but suffering is inevitable, and suffering can be good for you. So it's not a matter of running away from suffering, but a way of make the best use of suffering, right? To rise above it, to transcend it, to transform it, make it turn anger into positive motivation, turn pain into heroic attitude, turn everything negative into positive. That is a powerful principle. If you feel disgusted with your life, too many negatives, lucky you, God favor you, God trust you enough with all the suffering, like the way He trusted Job. I'm preaching again. Sorry about that. Okay, back to you're more preaching now. I know. When you go to pray to God, God can see you through the way you are, naked. Right? So you can't play game with God. You can't make excuses. Now, a German philosopher, Martin Buber, he said, that's how we should treat each other. That's why we feel so alienated, we feel so isolated, we don't trust anybody, we feel cut off, because we don't know how to relate to people. Because everybody look at people, oh, what can I make use of this guy? John Anderson, right? Oh, he look like a nice guy, I can maybe make use of him. Right? You know? And look at people and say, oh, how can I make use of this person? This is called I-it relationship, right? The other people in the instrument, it. IT. That is treating other people the way you approach God. That's powerful. Now, my friend, Dean Davy. Okay, she's laughing right now. Huh? So, do I treat you with idol? Say it louder. Yeah, I say, okay, my testimony. 我讲清楚啊。Oh, no, I put him on the spot. But that's important. So many people develop problem because they don't want to talk to, no one can trust. The kids say, my parents don't understand. My parents only give orders. Don't do this, do this. I want you to be a doctor, I want you to be a lawyer. They don't care how I feel. And husband and wife don't treat each other that way. No. Sometimes. So here's three strategies. Number four. What's 4? Come on. This is 4 treasures of meaning. Pure. Purpose, understanding, reasonable action. I can give you 1 week lecture on these 4 things. But that's not stopped here. How do you define meaning? I say, meaning is so complicated. Oh, that's easy. Pure. Life goes better with pure. Are you pure? Are you sexually pure? Are you morally pure? Are you psychologically pure? See, pure means that you have a purpose as an organizing principle, as a direction, as a motivation. You're going somewhere because you have a direction. Not driving a car, driving BMW around or get lost on the highway. Right? You know where you're going to Texas or going to Florida or going to Beijing. You're going somewhere. You get on a flight, you go to, Lucas used to give an example. When you go to the airport, you go on a flight, you make sure you know where the flight is going, right? The pilot will continue to navigate until you arrive. You can't go to the airport, pick up an airplane. You're in trouble. You end up in Africa. Or end up in Beijing. Well, anyway. So that's important, right? The second thing, understanding, but do you understand your emotion? Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you understand yourself? Do you understand life? Do you understand why something happened to you? See, what happened to you is less important than your understanding of the event. If your understanding is faulty, then you can turn everything positive or negative. Somebody can be very nice to you, you can misunderstand that, oh, he tried to bribe me. Or he tried to, So understanding the key and responsible action. In every situation, you ask yourself, what the right thing to do? Every day we make hundreds of decisions, especially leaders and pastors and managers, and Dan Jordan and you make this, executive director, you make hundreds of decisions every day, right? So you got to have some guiding principle. What guides you to make the decision? It's based on moral principles or based on expediency. You have to. And finally, evaluation. Now, if all goes well, you should feel what? Happy. Happy. My teeth. If anything is meaningful, it's inherently joyful, right? You feel good for doing the right thing. You feel good for knowing where you're going. You feel good to have a sense of meaning and purpose in your life. If you do all three, you should enjoy what you've done. Enjoy what you're doing. But if you don't, then something quite wrong. So your negative feeling, the feedback, you reevaluate. Okay. So that's 4. 5. That is hope. See, Franco said, what carried him through German Nazi camp is what? It's hope and meaning and love. He coined the word tragic optimism. What consists of accepting the situation, believe that life is worth living, believe that somebody somebody can rescue you, believe that he can see his wife one day, even though his wife died already. But believe is important. And have the courage to face the trouble and have faith. Okay? Have faith in a higher being and transcend your self-pity to reach out to other people. So that I've done a lot of research on that, and these 5 elements is able to give you the only hope that can survive the storms of life. Okay, other hope, everything good, I'm ability, the wishful thinking. But only this kind of hope can survive tragedy. 6. Now this is ABCD. I'm not going to go further, except ABCDE is similar to the first 2, plus mindful awareness. That is, when you are not striving towards the goal, when you're not trying to avoid something, your natural mental state is resting state is being mindful of the present moment. The present moment. Franco will talk about 3 ways of meaning, right? One is experiential, receiving what the world offers you. How do you receive what the world offers you? By developing mindfulness, mindful awareness. So you appreciate and the food and the light, your company, and happiness is right beside you, right? Happiness is here, happiness now, happiness is right before your eyes, happiness the little young man here. Happiness is all around you, right? That can make you happy. Right? 7 basic needs for meaning. This is I developed into my measure personal meaning. These are the 7 basic needs. Time running out. If most of these needs are missing, then you're in trouble. You are a case for mental breakdown, for depression, for anxiety. Next. I go anywhere and fly over every mountaintop with 2 things, pure and ABCD. So positive and negative, you can overcome anything. Next. What time is now? I better cut off short. This These are things to keep in mind: double vision, dual system, building approach to pure building resilience through meaning reconstruction. So ABCD basically is a process of reconstructing meaning. Okay, next slide. Existential therapy is limited because we resolve existential anxiety, trying to help them to live vitally. Next one. Parapsychology tries to increase happiness, enhancing our strength, to increase your well-being, and decrease negative emotion. But their problem is lack of concern for existential issues and relationship issues. So the complete therapy is meaning therapy. This is why. Next one, last one. Okay, so that's the best one. So it build positive stress relationship and transform the negative, and it results in self-actualization and fulfillment and well-being. Okay, I'm out of the gas. Thank you for listening.